So before we get into what I call each square inch inspection, not literally, but we get very, very close to that, I still would like for Dan to cover a few things with us.
Sure.
On originality aspects of the exterior.
Yeah, definitely. Starting with, obviously the color is probably one of the rarest R32 colors available, but even the rain guards and are kind of like a dealer installed option of the 90s that you see a lot of R32s particularly have. And it's great to see them all intact in the right colors and the right brands as well, with the little Nissan logo still on them.
Yeah, right there.
We verified that all the glass is original, so it hasn't been replaced at any quarters or any rear or front. Even the front glass is all original as well. Speaking of originality, in the trunk, actually, there's also a lot of this original stock parts from the previous owner.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we'll take a look at them.
So there is still, the ability to revert some of the stuff back to how it used to be. But exterior-wise, the paint is, really nice condition.
The wheels are original.
The wheels are in good condition. They are factory. They are stock for the year. Some people might think that you have a little bit more stylish wheels on a Skyline, but this is how it would be presented to a new customer right from the factory.
Yeah, and it's a right-hand drive, of course.
Yep, right-hand drive. Moving inside, you see, the original seats. Nothing covered up, nothing replaced. Traditional 3-spoke GTR steering wheel. All the cool 90s, leaving the 80s style lighting and dials right on the dashboard itself. Power windows. Pretty up-to-date sound system in the regards to the best quality sound systems you could find at the time. And also this one has, in addition, the boost gauge and a battery meter and a couple other items that were period correct updates you could make at the time.
Yeah.
We suspect that probably around the time of the radio is when maybe the owner updated that stuff as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. So we will get into detailed inspection now. So let's get started with the vehicle inspection. The first thing, as usual, we'll walk around the vehicle and show you just overall condition. People that know the car, they obviously very excited seeing it, and for those that don't know the car, they ask questions. What is it? How come I haven't seen one around? Well, there are very, very few of them. Very special car. From the performance standpoint, it was way, way ahead of its time with twin turbo, all-wheel drive technology, and a lot of other gadgets that the GTR Skyline came with. So, as I said, the vehicle has been refinished in Japan, not in US, and I think it's been done a little while ago. We're actually going to grab the paint meter tool, and we are going to look at the paint with the paint meter. So we're going to turn the paint meter on. And why do we use the paint meter? Well, first of all, we do want to verify if the vehicle has original paint or not. Here, we know that the paint is not original. The whole car was refinished. And by the way, it's a nice looking paint job. So what we do want to use the paint meter for is to kind of get an idea what's under the paint. Obviously, we do not want to get into the paint, into the vehicle, not knowing what's under the paint. And it's awfully hard to do that without having the paint meter. So original factory paint thickness, depending on a specific color and manufacturer, but it ranges anywhere from 2.5 mils, which would be somewhat thin coating, to usually 3.5 to 5.5 or 6 on most cars. And then you get into the 3-stage colors where you have the base coat, pearl effect coat, and you do have the clear coat. Those could range into 8 or 9. And then when you do have the second coat of paint, those numbers would be doubled. So let's check out and let's learn more about this car and what do we have for paint. So we're measuring 7.2 mils on the roof, and I already did a lot of measurements, so I poked around, and for the most part, not for the most part, it has consistent readings of around 7 mils. Certainly under 10 mils. And then let's get into the trunk lid, quarter panels, and go around the vehicle. So we're measuring 10 mils on the trunk. Again, 10 mils, and the vertical part of the trunk, 11. I do like to look at the corners because if there was any type of collision, adjacent panels usually get bumped and there's body filler. So all looks good there. 18 on the quarter. 18 on the quarter. When I get into those double digits close to 20, I start poking around a little bit more. And then you don't want to get into, I guess there could be areas that measure 40 and 50 as long as it's a small area. That's okay. So right here looks like 19, 18, 15, 14, 15, and then around the edge of the panel 19. Yeah, usually here's 20, actually 24. Here's a high reading of 68, which is still manageable, but it looks like there may have been a dent here. Let's see. Yeah, 61, 40, 60, 68, 67, 44. And let's go in a different direction. Oops. 60, 75, 79, 80, 67, 44. So from what I can tell, that there was a dent in this area and probably went this way, and it was repaired. I'm glad to see that there is metal on the edges, which means there was no rust work done here. It looks like it was just due to some kind of a dent on the side. If I do measure a lot of body filler on the edges, that tells me there is no metal and it is mainly body filler, which is not the case here, which is great. Let's keep going. 27, bottom of the door 10, 8, middle of the door 10, top of the door 10, front of the door top 15, 15 in the middle, and 10, which again is good that the bottom of the door measures single digits. There was no rust, there was no there is no body filler, and the same is true for the left fender. So the fender across the surface measures just around 10, 11, and the very corner measures 13. The paint looks very, very nice. Let me report on that. Looks very, very nice. All the body lines line up. Like if I look at this area down here, that all lines up. The same is true here. It lines up vertically, it lines up horizontally, and the same is true on the trunk. And we looked at the hinges on the trunk. There was no moving around. So we are going to look at the A-pillar, which measures 11 on the bottom and 10 on the top. Transitioning to the roof measures 8.7. Now let's look at the hood. I know there's one area, there was a small dent. So here we're measuring 14, 10, 9, 14, 14. If I don't capture the screen, just take my word for it. 13 in the middle of the hood. 10, 9, 11 towards the edge, and we're gonna approach the area where there was a dent. The dent was right in this area. So here we're measuring 44, and as we're moving away, it quickly drops to 33, 22, and 16, and 13 over here. So it looks like there was a small dent here that was properly repaired. There are no waveness, and the paint finish is awesome. By the way, we've gotten a lot of JDM cars over the years, and the paint work that they do is actually very good quality. The metallic consistency and the texture consistency and the clear coat, they all have very, very nice finish. Looking at the right fender, 10, 10, 13, and the very bottom, I'm very interested there, 10, 8, nice, no rust. Bottom of the door, 10, 9, 11, middle of the door, 12, 12, 16, and the top of the door, 15, 11, and 14. I always measure around the door handle. Sometimes those get a little more. No, 15 and 11. And the right quarter is of a particular interest because I suspect it had some kind of a minor fender bender that was repaired, and that is why we're seeing some rust. And I'm going to point a small rust spot on the other quarter, which I did not notice this time around, but I know it's there. So let's take a closer look at the right quarter. We'll start from the measurements. 13, 11 so far, 9, 12, 10, 11, 10, 13, 12, 8, 9, 9, and the bottom of the quarter panel, 8, 10, and the very bottom, 8. So I guess I was wrong. I don't see any body filler, but we do have some rust spot, one spot right here. I guess maybe there was a little spot of rust that didn't get addressed when the paint job was done and it started to rust. But the good news is there's still plenty of metal. So it's totally repairable, no welding needed. I'm measuring 10 thickness to the metal, 10 mils. And on the bottom, there's an area here that I'm showing that's got a little bit of bubbling. So there's definitely some body work needed there. But again, we do have good, strong metal, not only by sound, by measurement. We are measuring 7 mils of paint, 9 mils of paint to the metal. Another area of concern, and that's one issue that I have with JDM cars, they're not big on removing adjacent parts for best surface preparation and paint application, which means they would tape the moldings. You can see some tape lines, and sometimes they're pretty rough. This car is not as bad, but ideally when you paint a vehicle, you wanted to remove or pull back the gaskets. You don't have to remove it. You can literally just pull it back like this. So you can pull this back with a special tape, and you can still prep and paint and then release the gasket. So this was not done. Therefore, there's a tape line, which is not something we like, but it's there. And there's a little bit of rust here, so that would need to be addressed. We already checked availability of this gasket. It is available, and the rust is present on both sides. There is a spot here. Let me see where it is. Yep, here it is. And it doesn't mean that it's rust. It could be just paint delamination because it wasn't prepped at the edge correctly. So that's that. And so we have 4 spots of rust that we can see. One right here. And it's not extended rust, it's just localized rust because, again, we're measuring plenty of metal there. And there was no prior body filler dropped in there. I thought the quarter had an accident, but we did not measure any body filler, so we're just having a small spot of rust right here. And a spot of rust here, which extends a little bit more, but again, there was no prior rust repair by way of body filler, which is great. All the body lines line up nicely, you can see. On both sides. Here it is. So this wraps our exterior paint overview. And actually, before we switch to interior, I want to spend another moment on the moldings and taped parts. I guess the worst area I showed you, they're around window gaskets, and it's not bad, but we do want to show it to you. And then around the back quarter glass, you can see that. Overall, decent looking, but again, it's taped. They did a much better taping job. They even possibly removed this top molding. I think they did. It might have been replaced because it looks fresh and new. So this does not appear to have the tape line here. Around the door handle, actually things look pretty good. Pretty good around it. It's hard to say. It almost looks like they might have removed that. So, and then the windshield, you can see it's been taped. On the side, looks pretty good. And then the top, the windshield molding, which is available, we did locate it. As far as parts, there's actually good, there are several good sources of parts that we can get parts from. And so this molding consists of metal part and a little rubber gasket attached to it, permanently attached to it. So this little rubber gasket is soft on the side, but there are areas where it starts to crack, like right here. And not that it's going to leak. The windshield is still glued into the windshield frame opening. But you can see that someone in the past, I guess just for appearance, tried to put some rubberized gasket material on the top to make it look like this little gasket is still in there. So it looks okay, but definitely should be cleaned out, and this molding should be replaced. Let's take a look at the front. Things look actually pretty good here. The bumper lines up, headlamps lined up, grille is nice and straight. We observe no signs of bodywork in the front. Bodywork meaning collision repairs. Here is the passenger, oh, sorry, right-hand drive. Here's the driver's side, right side. You can see a little bit of tape line, nothing unusual. And these are period correct wind deflectors, and you can see they have Nissan logo right there. And the taping job here is somewhat decent. And then I'll show you the quarter glass on the right side. Oops, here it is. Let's start from the bottom. Here it is. And again, the door molding, I think that's been removed because we don't see a tape line. We can see the paint floating under the molding. That's how it should be. But that's not something can be easily achieved on these quarter glass because, well, I guess they could have lifted it. It is somewhat flexible, so you can actually lift that and you can clean that edge. You can see it comes up. So that is my kind of the biggest issue is how it's been taped, and it's not a big deal. Again, we're full transparency. We want to show it to you. So let's get inside the vehicle. The underbody, we have the footage. Oops, we definitely should lubricate that door stop right there. Here's the dry spot. I can see it right here. We'll lubricate it. The A-pillar all looks good, accident free. Let's actually put a paint meter on it. I'm going to turn that on. Yeah, we're measuring 1.8. That's the original thickness. 1.7. B-pillar on the inside, 1.7. So we have original paint on the quarters, yeah, 2.4, and on the pillars, the inside of the door, 2.3, that's original. The door frame, 2.0, that's original. We'll check out the driver's side, which is the right-hand side of this vehicle, and we'll do the same. 2.0 on the A-pillar. Six, 5, 5, 6, 6, 8, 11. Oh, actually, I can see the transition, so I can see the light transition. So they had to refinish the door jamb. There might have been some overflow of the bodywork that needed to be refinished for color, and then they kind of feathered the transition up here because this one measures 5, 10, 6, 5, 5, 1.2, 8, and the pillar is 1.5. So it looks like we have a little bit of paint transition that took place across, and then the color was feathered into the A pillar, and the A pillar is original. There's no paint, additional paint there. It's original paint, which is a very good sign. So the interior, we have very good looking interior. It is, keep in mind, the car has 60,000 miles, 98,000 kilometers. The interior looks very, very nice. The level of wear is actually consistent, or I should say lower than expected for the car this age with this miles. The carpets look very, very nice. There are no wear spots in the carpets, even in the typical areas where the pedals are. The rest spots and under the pedals, the carpet looks very, very nice. There was a spot on the seat that was worn through, typical area, and it is now repaired. The seat material is in good condition. You can see some surface wear and a little bit of, I would say, maybe seated dirt. It's not bad, but it's there, and we're reporting on it. The steering wheel is in exceptional condition. The leather is beautiful. The stitching is all in place. Nothing is coming apart. It's original steering wheel in great condition. That's a score. The handle, the parking brake handle looks good. The original leather is there. It's coming apart a little bit, but none of the stitching has popped. You can still see it right here. You can see the seam kind of opening up, but the original stitching is still there. So that's original and in good condition. The boot has been replaced and it looks good. The boot for the shifter has been replaced and it's good. The shifter knob is in good condition. The top looks nice. Very little separation on the bottom, and again, nothing to worry about. It's still in good, very good condition. The armrest in excellent condition, and the back seat is in phenomenal condition. Actually, very, very good condition. Of course, the seat bolster on the passenger side is in great shape. The carpet is in great shape. The door trim all look good. The dashboard has no cracks. There's one spot which is again normal, and it's barely noticeable. We're gonna show it and disclose it to you. I wouldn't worry about it because this is common on the vehicle this age. You can see a little bit of kind of lifting. If you don't know it, you may not notice it, but it is there, and this vinyl material lifting up from the base. And there is another spot you can see right here. Again, it is typical because time takes its toll. Other than that, the dash is great, and even this is restorable. So the headliner is actually nice and solid. It's not loose anywhere. The sun visors are in good condition. The mirror is overall in good condition. Around the perimeter you can see a tiny little bit of I guess delamination. That would be the way to describe it. A small little gouge, two of them, on the interior trim, but when you close it, you actually don't see them. They stay inside the visible area. So let's take a look at the trunk. We haven't been there. Let's check it out. We do have some goodies here. We do have the floor mats. We have the original air cleaner. We have a bunch of Nissan parts, everything laid out on the cardboard so there's no damage to the carpet. And the carpet is in actually very good condition. Everything is intact. And the plastic trim around perimeter is not overused. Looks like these are unturned, untouched. And the inside of the trunk lid looks original. These are unturned, untouched.